Hey everyone, welcome to my week 4 college football picks of the 2023 season. As I mentioned yesterday with the NFL picks, I'm late to the game with this stuff. I apologize. My motivation with uploading was real low there, so we're trying to pick it up. Really trying to pick it up going forward here. Week 4 college football, first big week in really determining who's a pretender, who's not. We're going to start figuring that out a little bit. We're gonna have a long season though with figuring things out with who's really a playoff team this year. Of course, it's the last year too that this is a 14 playoff before we go to 12 in 2024, along with all the stupid conference realignment stuff. But anyway, let's get straight into it here with I got my big dog here with on Friday night tonight. Kickoff at 7 p.m. in West Lafayette, where the Purdue Boilermakers will host the Wisconsin Badgers. Wisconsin's -5.5 on the road. Both these teams have had their moments of concern. Purdue, not a team that really can play defense. They've let up some points over the last few weeks. Wisconsin, though, I thought was a little overrated coming into this season, and sure enough, they kind of showed that, especially against Washington State, although that was a tough road game, of course, tough environment to play in. This game could go either way. I kind of want to go Wisconsin. I feel like they're the better team. They are the better team on paper in different ways, but I can see Purdue winning. But I got Purdue keeping it close. Wisconsin's going to win by just a couple of points. Again, you can argue the upset. Home field advantage could take over in this one. Yeah, it is what it is. Just to note, Hudson Card's been solid for the most part, too, for Purdue as well. Big game here on Saturday at noon. We have the Clemson Tigers hosting the number 4 Florida State Seminoles in Death Valley. Florida State's -2 on the road, and for good reason. By the way, I used the old Florida State logo just because I wanted to. That's actually my fantasy football team logo for this year's fantasy football. This is a real tricky matchup. Jordan Travis avoided a scare there with an injury back on this past Saturday against Boston College. And by the way, that is an outlier. Do not look too much into that. That was the red bandana game that Boston College has annually, I believe. But Florida State, defensively, is going to have to figure it out against Clemson. They could throw the ball pretty well. They're going to need to apply some pressure to Cade Klubnik. This is a tough one. Never easy going into Clemson playing there. Clemson's usually a team that's in this spot. They're the favorite, but they're not. Kind of a more rare situation these days going on. Florida State can limit the run. Clemson does run well according to stats. They average 216 rushing yards a game. Tricky one here. Clemson, though, not the same as in years past. If this was a nighttime game, I'd take Clemson probably, but I like Florida State to win and cover. This is going to be a dogfight. Do not expect this to be anything short of boring. This should be a thrill to the finish. Yeah, this one worries me, though, for Florida State. They've got to win this game. This is going to be their toughest game of the year, most likely. Next up, we have the new Big 12 teams, of course, or one of the new Big 12 teams taking on jeez, I completely fumbled an intro. Let's restart that. One of the 4 new Big 12 teams, Cincinnati Bearcats, hosting the number 16 Oklahoma Sooners. Good job, Steven. Good job. Oklahoma is favored 14 on the road, and for good reason. Cincinnati, by the way, just pulled a bad one against Miami of Ohio. They lost that game. They should have never lost that game. They have no business doing that. Oklahoma, I know they haven't faced anyone yet. They've looked really good. They've looked really, really good this year. Their first real test is coming up in a couple of weeks against Texas. That's a huge game. If Oklahoma can beat Texas, they're going to be in probably the top 8-7 probably at that point. Texas, yeah, that's going to be big. I can't wait to talk about that later into October. I Oklahoma to win and cover. Oklahoma's much better than Cincinnati, obviously. Dylan Gabriel's playing lights out. The defense looks a little better. We'll see again. The defense has not really been tested yet. That yet remains to be foreseen. Next up, we have Texas A&M Aggies hosting the Auburn Tigers. A&M is -8 at home, and Auburn is due to lose a game, in my opinion. They actually almost lost to Cal on the road. A&M, I thought, was also overrated coming into the season. This could be a physical game. Auburn's defense has still got some of its aspects to where I can slow down A&M, but A&M's offense, I think, still is too much. I don't trust Auburn's offense. Their quarterback, led by Peyton Thorne, Again, I'm not. That could also throw A&M off. A&M defensively, they got kind of torched by Miami. So tricky, really tricky game here. I still like A&M at home. If this was in Auburn, I would call for the outright upset. But I'm going A&M since they're at home. But A&M, Iowa State, that's too much to be laying with Texas A&M. I don't trust that at all. This should be a close one as well. This game. Number 10 Oregon Ducks hosting the number 19 Colorado Buffaloes. Shout out to my best friend Chris, by the way. He lives in Colorado. Oregon's favorite 21 for good reason. A couple of reasons why. Oregon at home with the running game especially, and Travis Hunter being out for 3 weeks now, which is huge. It's a huge loss for Colorado. He's kind of like one of their centerpieces of the team. Colorado's been the big story this year in college football. Every year, there's always that one team that kind of really brings out a big story. This year's Colorado. Or should I say at least one team that does it. But Deion Sanders, I like the culture he's brought to this team, to Boulder. Incredible stuff. Colorado, of course, historically used to be really good back in the 90s. But, yeah, this is a tricky game here. Oregon, or not to say tricky, this is going to be a really difficult game for Colorado to keep up in. Oregon can run the ball very well as well. Colorado's defense is not good at all. They don't even run the ball either. I'm going to get risky and say Oregon scores 62 points. Yeah, I know you probably are just thinking, well, some of you are probably thinking 62. You sure about that? And some of you are probably like, yeah, not surprising. Because, again, Colorado's defense is so porous. So I would think that Oregon will be able to have no issue with putting up such gaudy numbers in the passing and running department. Bo Nix is going to have his... I would not be shocked if Bo Nix threw like 5 touchdowns in this game, or if Bucky Irving got 3 to 4 rushing touchdowns. Whatever happens, Oregon's putting up some big numbers. And Colorado scoring 34 is a little ambitious too, so they don't get a little overboard. Who knows? Who cares? My picks. Next up, this is a really good game. Number 11 Utah Utes versus hosting number 22 UCLA Bruins. Utah's currently -6 at home. The line was 4.5. Now it's 6. That can only be because of one reason. It's possible Cam Rising finally comes back and plays. If Cam Rising is going to play in this game, Utah's covering the spread. Now, this is tricky because UCLA, you cannot forget, UCLA is defensively still good. They do limit a bit, especially in the running department. UCLA really can run the ball. I mean, according to stats here, they average 270 rushing yards per game. Dante Moore, I believe he's a freshman. Yeah, true freshman. He's played really well. And, of course, you got Ball State transfer Carson Steele, who's a great running back. He really adds to this offense. Utah might have their hands full with UCLA, though. And Utah's also got injury problems as well. But Utah's got such a strong physical culture, strong culture that they've built with that team. Kyle Whittingham has really built this team up the last few years especially. And with the physicality they bring, I don't think Dante Moore's going to be ready for that. My rise to occasion, you never know. You can't rule anything out. College football is amazing with what can happen. But this is not the right place for it. Utah is such a dangerous team still. Some people are like, well, Utah is overrated. You're overrated. I can't be that mean, but seriously though, still, I firmly believe in Utah still. But if Cam Rising's back, that's huge. They need him back. He's their best. He's one of the best signal callers, especially in the game, basically. So I got the Utes winning. Should be a fun one. Next up, let's go down to the Southeast. Let's go on down to Tuscaloosa, where the number 13, I don't know why I did all that. Number 13, Alabama Crimson Tide are hosting the number 15 Ole Miss Rebels. Alabama is -6.5 at home. And basically, let's just keep it simple, all right? I know Alabama looked terrible last week at South Florida, okay? But let's not get carried away. Jalen Milroe will play. And with that being said, I think Alabama kind of runs the course and gets back on track this week. Ole Miss, kind of lucky to be 3-0 a little bit. They struggled kind of against Georgia Tech and they ran away with it. The Tulane game, Pratt got hurt in, and Ole Miss kind of ran away with it after being down in the first half. Ole Miss is going to lose. They're just going to lose this game. There's no other way to put it. I know they got Jackson Dart, blah, blah, blah. You can make whatever argument to me you want to. Ole Miss is not winning this game. Alabama could even win this game in their own subconscious. Just put it that way. As I say some silly things, as you guys know. All right, moving forward, let's go to Lawrence, Kansas, where Kansas Jayhawks are minus 9.5 at home against the BYU Cougars. Well, that's why I did that. Again, I like to be fun with this stuff too. This game's tricky. This could be an upset. BYU's not a pushover. They have bowl game aspirations this year. Kansas, the only reason why I'm taking Kansas is because of Jalen Daniels, but then again, that's kind of silly because of one player. It's kind of similar to BYU facing Arkansas because Kansas doesn't have defense. Arkansas's defense isn't really that great either. Just because they held Kent State to 6 points doesn't mean Arkansas's got a good defense. Arkansas couldn't stop BYU from here to there. So Kansas is kind of but they're not. Yeah, I feel like Kansas and Arkansas are not too dissimilar from each other. I mean, they got obviously their offenses are not. I'm not calling them mere copycats, but just in the way that things go with this team. Like Jalen Daniels is not the leading rusher. Obviously, I mean neither is KJ Jefferson for his team, but still, Kansas is able to run the ball well. They average over 200 rushing yards a game. And this game should be fun. This should be a fun one to watch. Kansas definitely on upset alert here. Definitely, if you feel like you want to take BYU in the upset, I would not argue with you on it. Because Kansas's defense, okay, their numbers show that they limit both the pass and run, but they haven't faced a team with a more dynamic offense yet. So we'll see what happens. Moving on, this game really tricky to figure out the score in, especially. You want to talk about figuring stats out in Arkansas. Here you go. The Battle of the Golden Boot rivalry game here between number 12 LSU Tigers and Arkansas Razorbacks. LSU 17, minus 17.5 at home. That might be laying a little bit too much, I think, especially for a game like this. LSU trying to right the ship. They're back on track. They demolished Mississippi State. Arkansas just lost to BYU. Arkansas's not winning more than probably 7-8 games, I think, in this season or something like that. Especially with the fact that the running back, Raheem Sanders, being out. That's not good. He was a great running back for them last year. They said he will likely probably miss week 3 too. So Jefferson, again, going to have his hands full of this offense. Jaden Daniels of LSU, they ran all over Mississippi State. It was just not even close at all. Their defense stepped up big time in that one. Rivalry games are usually close, and I think it was like the last 3 matchups between these two teams, they were decided by like 3 points or fewer or something like that. I think this is a little bit different. I think LSU's going to win by 14 roughly, but again, the score is so tough with this one. You don't know what you're going to get. Arkansas, I think, is coming to play a little bit in this game, but I just think they're not going to have enough in the tank. I think LSU's defense starts to slow them down a bit towards the end of the game. I think it kind of limits Arkansas a bit. We'll see what happens, but I don't think Arkansas's defense is slowing down Jaden Daniels. No way. Next up, this is a really underrated matchup here. I don't think it's getting enough talk as it should. It should be getting more talk, in my opinion. This is very important, actually. Number 21 Washington State Cougars versus the number 14 Oregon State Beavers. Oregon State's minus 3 on the road, and this all comes down to Oregon State's quarterback. I don't trust DJ. Don't at all. Washington State quietly building a nice season. They beat Wisconsin already. Cam Ward's playing well. He's been more consistent, not turning it over. I like Washington State to pull off the upset here. Oregon State's got the defense. Yes, I know. But I just am not really on their train. I like the upset here, especially with Washington State at home. If this was at Oregon State in Corvallis, Oregon, I probably would pick Oregon State, but I'm not going that route personally. This is actually going to be on my area too, so. What? Oh, by the way, yes, so didn't quickly mention too, the Pac-12 is practically dissolving after this season. And this headline here, when you click on the matchup, says it's the Pac-2 championship game when number 14 Oregon State visits number 21 Washington State. Oh, Lord. Oregon State and the matchup predictors favored 65.6%. I personally, I'm just not seeing it. Washington State does give quite a bit of passing yards, but I just think DJ turns it over in a key point, and I think that causes them to lose. All right, 2 more games to pick. Here we go. The whiteout game, the annual whiteout game. Shout out to my coworker Ryan, by the way. He went to Penn State, of course. And also shout out to both my coworkers, Ryan and Drew. They both went to Penn State, who I work with. Number 7 Penn State Nittany Lions are minus 14.5 against the number 24 Iowa Hawkeyes. The lines have been kind of bouncing between 14 and 15 in the last couple of days. All these lines are kind of bouncing by 1 point, so just keep that in mind if you're going to bet any of these games going forward over the next 24 hours. Penn State this year, a little bit scary last week with Drew Allar. I didn't like the way he played. First true road game for him. That defense is just really, really, really good. I'm very impressed with Penn State's defense. They forced 5 turnovers against Illinois. But Drew Allar coming home, whiteout, I think he plays much better here. Iowa, their offense, I think, is still anemic at times. Iowa is still having problems with offense. I don't care. I don't care if they scored 41 points at home against Western Michigan. I don't care. Seriously. Why is it at the end of the first half, they're only up 14-10 against Western Michigan? And then Iowa's defense, still there. Obviously, they've had their very good defense the last couple of years, but their offense still at times just sputtering a little bit. This headline here says Penn State ready for tough test with possibly defense leading the way against number 24 Iowa. You know what? Forget it. I got Penn State winning pretty convincingly here by 20. It's not going to be close. Listen, Penn State, I think, is just going to be too dynamic for Iowa. Iowa almost let Iowa State win. I mean, Iowa won 20-13 in that game. They kind of were. It's just I don't care. I don't really care. You know, I don't. What do you want me to say at this point? Seriously. I think Iowa's just going to be having too much pressure from the crowd alone. I mean, by the way, if you haven't looked up a video for the whiteout game, the crowd noise in the beginning, it is like the loudest you'll ever hear it. It's incredible, the atmosphere, but give me Penn State. Now, I will say the first half will be probably closer, but I think Penn State pulls away after like 1 or 2 quarters. Final game to pick. I saved the best one for last here. We have the game of the week in South Bend, Indiana. Number 9, Notre Dame Fighting Irish, hosting the number 6 Ohio State Buckeyes. Ohio State's currently -3 on the road. I originally thought the line was hokey. I thought, why is Ohio State favored? But it makes sense. Some key stats for you guys here on this, the history of this matchup. And I wanted to look this up before I did this video. Okay, so listen. So Ohio State has won 5 in a row against the Irish and lead the all-time series 5-2. Remember last year, Notre Dame and Ohio State played last year, and Notre Dame, even without the offense that they now have this year, they were able to slow down Ohio State quite a bit, and they only lost by 11, 21-10. The last time Notre Dame beat Ohio State was in 1936. 1936. 1936. What in the world? All right. I thought I was reading a bunch of bull crap when I read that earlier from somebody commenting that a couple days ago, but it's true. It's true. The This is gonna be a physical matchup. There could be some heat in this one. I could see it happening. Notre Dame's defense is there. Obviously, there's no question with it, but they're going to have a tall order containing the Ohio State receiving core, and it really depends on especially if Kyle McCord can play well in this environment because this is his first real true road start for him. Notre Dame with Sam Hartman. Man, you know what? I got Notre Dame winning this game, actually. Notre Dame is going to win this game. They're going to find a way to win this game. Will they have problems containing Ohio State's receivers? Sure. Sam Hartman's going to have to do his fair share and not turn it over because the Ohio State pass rush could be a problem. Ohio State's defense could pull some strings. But I think somehow, some way, Notre Dame's going to find the extra play to beat the Buckeyes in what should be a thriller. I think this should be a very good game. You say very good. This should be an exciting game. Let's change wording on that. Thank you guys for watching all my week 5 picks, probably earlier in the week next week, hopefully by like Wednesday or something like that, so we get a little more time to digest these picks. But hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to like and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you guys in the next one. Enjoy this week and lots of great football. Take care, everyone.